what he has captured on tape, we feel is authentic.
This time on Unexplained Mysteries, UFO, Best Evidence. You'll hear the best evidence that UFOs exist from real eyewitnesses.
In the sky was a great golden globe.
It was a ship as big as my house.
We'll probe the famous crash of an alleged alien spacecraft at Roswell.
The creatures were laying like this, side by side. The live one was over here.
And we'll show you what happened to the wreckage and the victims of the crash.
He said, we have the bodies from the crash.
The alien bodies are still here on this base.
You'll hear UFO evidence from the military itself. Actual ground-to-air transmissions.
Edwards, do you still have any of these U-bombs in sight? Yes?
No way he could have caught that.
The unknown object witnessed throughout the western United States.
It was a bright light that lit up the entire sky.
When he got home, he looked like he had seen a ghost.
The unidentified intruder that flew into military airspace.
This craft shows up. That's scary.
We'll show you new sightings of rarely seen daytime UFOs.
They said, come out to Midway, there's UFOs out here.
And you'll get the most convincing testimony yet. Our exclusive interview with a former astronaut.
They saw put down 3 little landing gear and landed right out on the dry lake there.
And we'll give you the final lowdown in our UNX report. It's all here on Unexplained Mysteries, UFO, Best Evidence. Nowhere in the world is safe from UFOs. Brantford, Connecticut, Tucson, Arizona, Topeka, Kansas, Gulf Breeze, Florida, Kanazawa, Japan, Ontario, Canada. UFOs captured on tape.
It was a ship as big as my house.
It was a total feeling of awe and knowing that I was looking at something that I didn't know what it was.
I think there's no doubt about the fact that it's the most dramatic thing and the most astounding thing, the most important thing that could happen here on Earth.
Brantford, Connecticut. George Bennett was taping an ordinary football game, but when he focused on the sunset, he recorded something not just beautiful, but extraordinary. Bellevue, Wisconsin. TV cameraman Dave Hooker was shooting a feature about a farm. When the tape was played back, it revealed more than just a windmill.
Here you can see an object moving behind a windmill here. Right there, it disappears into a cloud just before it goes behind this windmill. Clouds that day were at 25,000 feet, cirrus clouds. You know where the camera was put, you know the distance to the windmill. You can determine its size by looking at the image size here. Go through some trigonometry, and you'll find out that that UFO was about 10 miles away, up at 25,000 feet. And the size works out to about 500 feet long and doing 14,000 miles an hour, which is, again, nothing that a conventional aircraft is capable of doing.
Gulf Breeze, a quiet seaside town in Florida. A place with an alarming number of sightings.
What again? Yo, look, it's right there!
We had it drop these little objects out, and they would go out at an angle from the red object we were looking at, stop and turn red, and we would have 2 red objects sitting there.
It gives you the impression of sometimes of fireworks. Sometimes it looks like a string coming out with a white ball on the end of it.
Kanazawa, Japan. This is tape of an extremely rare incident. A daytime UFO. The object descends, then accelerates away. Watch carefully. The camera zooms in. Check out the shape of the craft. It's the classic shape of a flying saucer. Carp, Ontario. Another disc, much closer. And this time, on the ground. The object was photographed behind this house.
On my property, I've seen lots of bright flames. They were not like spreading fires. There were more individual flames going extremely high and a lot of smoke. I saw this bright light. Right on top of it was like a beak, and it was blue light pulsing, and it had a light right on the bottom and a light right in the middle of it. And I seen a ship just coming down over the tree and going very closer to the flames. That night was a very traumatic night for me. I can always remember that night. It will never be forgotten.
I looked out the back window, and in the sky was a great golden globe with a thin red rim. The only thing that came to mind quickly was that it was lightning, but I'd never seen lightning in a circular form.
There was one specific area, a circular pattern really, where all of the plant life had been exposed to some form of radiation. And by that I mean it just kind of melted. Real healthy bushes just melted to the ground.
You can see some indication that there's a solid craft there that you can see the top of and also see something underneath. But at least there is the hint of a cylindrical object here.
It was a ship. It was a ship as big as my house.
Real eyewitness evidence. But studies prove that eyewitnesses are not always reliable.
It gets to the point when you have 40,000 reports of UFOs per year, of which about a quarter of them aren't easily explainable. To assume that all of those are misidentifications, frauds, hoaxes, secret aircraft just doesn't add up.
Next on Unexplained Mysteries, the Roswell UFO crash.
We just don't have the technology to produce material like I brought in from that ranch.
The eyewitness who says he came face to face with an alien.
My dad was kind of right about here. He was talking to this creature.
The extraterrestrial autopsies at a top secret base.
One of the most interesting discoveries, I think, has to be the alleged alien jawbone that we uncovered.
The military's own evidence of UFOs. Radar tracks unknown objects.
Let's go 3 little dots out there, and I'll say that there are 3 definite objects.
I know it was not an aircraft. I know it was not a helicopter. I know it was not a weather balloon.
The strange moving light that was seen over large parts of the U.S.
The object was tracked on radar, both surveillance radars and height-finding radars.
The craft that somehow intruded into secure military airspace.
It seemed to move in whichever direction it wanted to go whenever it wanted to, contrary to any aircraft that I've seen in the past.
Footage of rare daytime UFOs.
Every time we get a new tape and we find some new kind of object in there, there's an excitement that builds, and it's just like incredible.
And the astonishing UFO sighting by an American hero.
Because they were flying quite high. How high we couldn't tell because we couldn't get anywhere near their altitude.
All this amazing testimony, plus the ultimate UFO summary in our Onyx report. Coming up on Unexplained Mysteries. Unexplained Mysteries, the best evidence of UFOs, physical contact. Roswell, New Mexico. Local headlines announced shocking news. The Army Air Force reported they had captured a flying saucer. Debris was found on a nearby ranch in Corona.
This building here, building number 84, is a building I believe that they brought materials from the Corona crash and stored them in here temporarily.
Major Jesse Marcel Sr., the base's chief intelligence officer, recovered the wreckage and took it to headquarters. But when papers published the news of the UFO crash, the military changed its story.
By the time the B-29 with Jesse Marcel and some of the wreckage got to the headquarters 2 hours after they left in Fort Worth, Texas, the fix was already in to kill the story.
The second press release stated the wreckage came from a weather balloon. Somehow, one of the most significant UFO sightings became an ordinary weather balloon. Some experts feel Brigadier General Roger Ramey, the base commander, ordered a massive cover-up.
And what he did was arrange for the wreckage of a weather balloon, the radar reflector on a weather balloon.
Right before Marcel died, he allegedly told Walter Haut the truth. The weather balloon story was a lie. An alien spacecraft really did crash near Roswell.
He made statements to the effect that it was nothing of this world. It couldn't be bent, torn, cut, pierced, burned. He went through a whole list of them. He said, we just don't have the technology to produce material like I brought in from that ranch.
And some UFO experts maintain that a mid-air collision caused a second crash that day, 200 miles from Roswell.
When I first came up to the craft, the creatures were laying like this in a line, side by side. And the live one was over here.
When he was 5 years old, Gerald Anderson says he came face to face with an extraterrestrial.
And my dad was kind of right about here, and he was sitting like this. My Uncle Ted was standing more over here, kind of leaned over like this, and they were talking to this creature.
He describes the aliens as 4 feet tall, with gray skin, large eyes, and thin arms. 2 of them were dead. 1 was dying, but 1 was still alive, trying to communicate.
And just suddenly he turned and he looked at me. And when that happened, all kinds of things just started happening inside my head. I started getting sensations of tumbling and falling and an awful loneliness, like there was no way he could possibly get back to where he came from.
Witnesses say the military soon showed up and threatened any civilian who went public with the amazing story. But now, many of them are speaking out.
We have testimony from over 200 people concerned with these events, people who handled the wreckage, people who described the bodies, people who had direct orders, military orders, to do this, that, or the other thing. We have consistent testimony that in a court of law would convict anybody of a crime.
Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, where ufologists believe the military took the Roswell crash debris.
Well, recently we investigated the rumors about Hangar 18 and in particular the Roswell connection to Wright-Pat.
The military claimed they brought a crashed weather balloon to Wright-Patterson.
What happened to it? We couldn't find any record of that. We found that was sort of interesting.
Experts maintained that the crash wreckage was stored in the base's secret tunnels, the exact spot where Officer Jack Donahoe claimed he saw an alien autopsy.
My Uncle Jack had a top secret security clearance when he worked at Wright-Patterson a complete time. The strangest story that he ever accounted to me was the day that he asked me if I had heard of a UFO crash out in Phoenix, Arizona. He said, we have the bodies from the crash.
Donahoe allegedly went to a secret room where a scientist was working on a dead body. It wasn't human.
There was a stainless steel table in this room that was arranged a little bit like a laboratory. The man said, look at this. Jack looked at the body. Jack told me that at the time they were doing full autopsies on the bodies. The head was shaped basically like a human head, only it was small. He said, we better not spend very much time here, and they left the room. I tried to bring it up at a later date. He said, forget him. Just forget about the whole incident.
But there are still people that absolutely believe that alien bodies and UFO wreckage are still here on this base, and that the bodies are kept in cryogenic suspension somewhere underneath Wright Field.
They had 30 alien bodies underground at Wright-Patterson Field alone.
Witnesses state that scientists performed anatomical research on the aliens for years.
Officials within the Air Force intelligence community have told me that they had determined back in the 70s, possibly before that, that this was an alien jawbone. I think the Air Force is hiding a lot of things. They did issue a statement, though, that there are no aliens or UFO pieces on this base now.
Coming up on Unexplained Mysteries, the military tracks UFOs on radar.
Look, search high, search high. Search very high.
Wait.